You probably read all about this by now, but enough time has passed that I feel like I want to tell my side of the story, so here goes. There are three things you should know about my Aunt Patricia. Really my great aunt, but we just call her Aunt. One, she is a devout, constantly church-going Baptist. Two, she is quiet and even timid. And three, she hates the cold. That's why it was so surprising last year when Aunt Patricia casually announced to our family and friends that she had sold all her belongings except for her three favorite Thomas Kincaid paintings: Summer's Light Light, The House by the Stream with the Horses Nearby It, and When an Angel Finds a Wallet. And she gave all the money to a shady group in the woods who used it to purchase a number of semi-automatic weapons in a barn on a big plot of land in upstate New York. This, of course, was met with confusion, as not one of us could ever remember her making a joke, let alone laughing, although my sister says she saw her laugh when an elderly man was running for a bus and pulled away without him right as he got up to the door. I guess she did love watching Mama's Family. She just never laughed at it, really. Anyways, it was clear she was being dramatic in the way she was parsing out the information. My mom knew enough to take her seriously, but could do nothing but wait on the phone patiently for Aunt Patricia to fill in the blanks. Eventually, she explained that she and a handful of members of her church group, the Guardians of the Realm of Good in Henry, Georgia, were planning to move to New Harridan in New York State, a small rural town bordering Canada. There they would form the New Minutemen, as they refer to themselves, made up of various intercessors from other like-minded church groups across the country who would keep watch over America's border and defend it from newly married Canadian homosexual couples who might be trying to sneak into the country to advance their homosexual agenda. They were very, very serious. Aunt Patricia was known for being a bit lost when it came to matters both social and practical in her life, and she was always searching for a clique to belong to. Whether it was something as small as a group of new friends she tried to make through a sewing circle or a book club, or her unsuccessful attempt at a Raisin of the Month party she tried to get going. Sometimes it was something much more involved, like joining every church in a 50-mile radius at once. She never seemed to either have enough friends to satisfy her or couldn't maintain them as friends, I guess. But anyway, before being newly rebaptized in the Guardians of the Realm of Good, Aunt Patricia was a member of the Church of the Good Deed, which she joined after leaving the Shield of the Wrath of Christ, which was an offshoot of the Church of Christ and Friends, which had split from the Church of the All-Powerful Redeemer in 1982 over its use of the phrase, befouled menstrual blood of the filthier half. That had been included in a screed written by Delmont Ralston, the church's personal leader, who was killed in 1985 when he tried to eat a lightning bolt. Before she started to attend all these different churches, Aunt Patricia was involved in our local neighborhood theater group, helping to stage inoffensive musicals like Pahrump and Oh Boy, What Fun, and The Great Missouri Whistle Days Discovery. We didn't really spend too much time with her, as my mom clearly had nothing in common with her, and in fact felt she was a near constant source of annoyance with her corrections and holier-than-thou attitude. That was okay with my sisters and me, as none of us particularly liked her either. Now, I remember one Christmas, she gave us all Confederate script, which is worthless unless you have a working time machine. And another time she gave the three of us kids compost, lecturing us on the divine sanctity which has been granted in the compost through the gift of God and emanates from within, purifying all who touch it. Like I said before, she wasn't any fun. She didn't even approve of water skiing, saying once that it was an activity that could only be sanctioned by Satan himself. Aunt Patricia was married to my great-uncle Abraham, who I don't remember too much about since he died when I was young. I do remember he smoked a pipe and had jackets with patches on the elbows that smelled like old mustard, and that he had gross, hairy ears. Really hairy, though. Not just a little bit, but like all hair. When I was a kid, it made me think that ear hair must have hurt because otherwise he'd just cut it off. Then when I got older and learned that it didn't hurt, it actually made me a little sick to my stomach every time I think of him after that. On the day we found out, my sisters Abby and Jenny and I were out in the backwoods lazily playing some kind of freeze tag game in which the rules were being made up and changed as we went along, and my mom came outside with the phone in her hands. She seemed upset and yelled to us with the kind of tone she only used for bad news or when she had one of her stomach aches but didn't want to show it. Without even waiting for a response, Mom yelled at us to all come inside. My sister Abby started whining about how we just got out there and we were in the middle of the game, and the mom yelled at Abby to get inside now and went back in, letting the screen door slam shut, which he hated whenever we did, behind her. Abby started again with her whining. But Mom, you said... I hit Abby in the head with a crab apple and told her to shut up. When she said she was going to tell on me, I said, go right ahead. Mom hates you now for crying when she told you to get inside. She'll probably give me a dessert reward because I made you quit. That shut her up, and she tromped into the kitchen behind me. Hey guys, sit down at the table. We could all sense bad news was coming. Your Aunt Patricia passed on last night. There was silence from all of us. I felt like I should say something out of a vague sense of respect, even though I didn't care, and I knew my sisters didn't care either. And I suspected that Mom didn't either. But maybe this is one of those grown-up things where God just makes you somehow magically care when you have to. Oh, I said, and tried to look sad. How'd she die? Was it peaceful? My mom opened the freezer and took out some ice pops. She was involved in a shootout with some FDA agents and was shot in the head and chest over a dozen times. That seemed funny to me, and I laughed. And my mom shot me an annoyed but understanding look, like someone who was in on the joke but didn't want the other people in the room to know. Does everyone want ice pops? My two sisters raised their hands, and Jenny asked what my mom meant. Well, sweetheart, my mom said as she sat down and gave out the ice pops, remember how Aunt Patricia moved up to that farm in New York, the one near the border with Canada, where that nice man paid for that big 19-hour Canadian fireworks display that Aunt Patricia told you about? And remember how she told us all before she went that she was going to do the Lord's work, and how even if something bad happened, that she would get to go to heaven where 70 white angels awaited her with baskets of apple fritters and hot cocoa? Jenny nodded and took her ice pop. Well, that's what happened. She's with Jesus and the angels having cocoa? That's right, honey. I want to have hot cocoa with the angels, Abby said. Me too, said Jenny quickly, even more emphatically, as if not saying so in time would disqualify her from going to heaven. You can't have cocoa with angels until you're dead, stupid. You have to wait. I looked at my mom to see if what I said and even what I was doing was the right thing. She had her back to us and was staring inside at the open freezer. After a bit, she closed it and turned around. Kenny's right. Then, in a surprise to all of us, she smiled and said those magic words, Hey, who wants to go to Dairy Queen? We all jumped up and yelled, We do, we do. When we got to Dairy Queen, I ordered the Nutbuster Parfait, which is the only thing I've ever gotten there. It's my all-time favorite thing ever. We had just gotten our stuff and sat down when the TV that was on in the corner up by the ceiling had one of those breaking news things with all the explosions and space war sounds. They showed a photo of Aunt Patricia that I hadn't seen before. She was in an army uniform and she had a black eye. They was talking about all these people being killed up in New York and how she was from here, and that's why they were showing her picture. Mom gasped and stared silently, and then, like she was shocked or something, started to quickly gather our desserts and us and told us to get into the car. But I pretended I left my free Pirates of the Caribbean figurine I got with the sundae on the seat inside and went back to listen. The news lady called the church that she was with a terrorist group and said that they were kidnapping gays who went to Canada to get gay married there and unmarrying them by force. They raised funds by going across the border into Canada and buying up lots of prescription medicines, which were a lot cheaper up there, and then selling them online back in New York for 5 times as much money. And that's how they afforded all their guns and things. Plus the guns were super cheap at Walmart where they lived. I guess one of the gays had escaped and told the police about it, and that's when they had the shootout. Pretty soon, my mom figured out what I was doing and came in really angry. I lied, and I told her I just remembered it was in the car, but she saw right through that. She told me we'd talk when we got home. We drove home in silence, except for Abby singing a song under her breath about all